Hey y'all, happy Friday. Noah, everyone who reads must converse is a channel. What's up, AC in the house?
Chilling.
In the house. And then Leah Lindemann, how are you doing from Pen to Paper?
Great.
Up in Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, with snow.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
We're excited to have you with us, Leah. Thanks, us getting together. You've really become a part of what I'm doing here just for the project for NaNoWriMo, right? Through November, where I wanted to just kind of focus on writing and kind of bring that aspect into the content that I offer on the channel. It's been awesome.
Well, thanks for having me. I love what you do with your channel and the great community feel and aspect that you have to it.
Thank you. I appreciate that for sure. So, winter has got here where we're at. It's cold for us. We've gotten down to freezing, but nothing. Our boys up in Buffalo, like Working Man Reads, Josh up there is in Buffalo. He was sharing some stuff on TikTok, just grabbing the snow shovel. I don't know anything about it, but they were getting like 3 or 4 feet in a matter of hours, a couple of hours or something. And
that's way more than I have.
Our boys, Phil and Jeff, the dynamic duo of the America and the Cult of the Cactus Busa Diagnostic, this beast, it's an amazing book. They're in Buffalo. So I hit them today. I said, are you guys snowed in somewhere yet? And of course they were, Everybody's kind of snowed in up there. They got more capability to handle it. I'm sure you do too up there in Ontario, right, Leah?
Oh yeah, like for our cars, we have to have mandatory winter tires. And yeah, the whole infrastructure is definitely set for that.
Right. I mean, we have like sleet, or we have wet ice raining around here or whatever, and the whole city will shut.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Atlanta will shut down.
If we get like a few inches, which never happens, then it's usually fine. But if it's like an inch or two, that turns immediately into ice.
It's so scary.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And is it quite as bad where you are, where it's like, you just go outside and, you're able to toss like a bucket of water in the air and it completely evaporates, or?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. What's up, Andrew? Andrew Wizardly Reads in the house. Happy Friday, brother. Alexa, my boy. Alexa's in Serbia. What an amazing dude. He's got a farm out there and just does his thing, but a very strong reader. Like a great reader. I love meeting these kind of people. That's why it's community based around here, because I love certain people that I meet here, where you meet somebody that you didn't know this kind of person was there.
I think that's a big reason why and I don't know if I've talked about it very much on the channel, but I'm an Uber driver during the day, and I mean I love it for the writing process,
and at night an author.
There you go. But there's so many different characters that I get in my car, and also just so many different parts of the world that I get to just be interactive with that I wouldn't normally be able to.
Right. Nice.
So you have
in the house.
A forever wellspring of inspiration for characters and settings. So you don't have an excuse for not having any characters. You just have a full one for memory.
He can cherry pick from the best, right?
I'm waiting for your feedback after that, where it's like, dude, this character sucks. You've got more characters in this. Leah's going to be really tough on me.
Oh, yeah.
Leah's like the caring nurturer. She's going to just pat you in the right direction, just give you little good advice on the way. And if you don't do it, or you do the wrong thing, it's okay. Maybe try this, and just another pat.
No.
Another.
I mean, I'm glad I come off that way, but no, I am not afraid to listen. I'll say it really nicely, but firmly. Like, I'll do the sandwich effect. I'll say something really nice, and it's true. I don't lie about these things. I'm very honest with my constructive criticism, right? And then I'll say what needs to be worked on, and then I'll just sandwich it with, and I love this part about it, and keep going and keep driving in the writing, so
Right.
it's all going to be good.
Do you have managerial experience? Because that's usually the you know,
Yeah, actually I do.
Yeah, being able
Well,
to handle people like that.
Not in a corporate setting, but I mean, I have 6 kids. I was a stage manager for a play company for several years. I just know how to run big groups of people and just people in general. So I think I have a lot of giftings toward that.
Nice. Nick Voro, another author in the house. Hey, brother, nice to see you. And a dashing gentleman. If you don't follow Nick Voro on Instagram, you're missing out. Okay. Not only is it artful advertising for his awesome book, Conversational Therapy, but he is a stunning.
Does he give tickets to the gun?
He's Canadian as well.
I didn't realize that.
He is. Yeah, Canadian power, man. It's happening. Canadian authors.
Does he give tickets to the gun show?
He doesn't usually pass out tickets to the gun show, but it's like a real classy, kind of sleek, young Jack Nicholson, hair back, this kind of thing. It works, man.
Young Jack Nicholson and classy.
What?
That's
come on. Yeah, right. Chinatown, baby. Tyler the Falcon is in the house. Tyler is actually doing a NaNoWriMo challenge himself. And NaNoWriMo is just this big dare, right?
Pretty much.
It's just kind of this big dare for writers to just do it, see if you can hit 50,000, sure, but really just do it. And we all kind of jump on the bandwagon with encouragement like that, right?
Yeah. No, I think that's what I jumped onto most with the channel, is just really realizing the community aspect of everything. And, everybody's been extremely awesome, at least with the support, and, I love the fact that we're doing the Wednesday sprints as well. Yep. Unfortunately, was not able to show up for the last one. But hopefully these next few I will hold myself.
The only downside to that was that y'all didn't meet and hang out, but it's happening tonight, baby.
Exactly.
All right,
there you go.
What you reading?
Author chat.
All right, sorry. Jim reads too slow. Says, "Hey, what's up, brother?
Hey.
Nice to see you." He's got good, real good content. PG, I ain't finna read that. I can't wait to see your take on Picture of Dorian Gray. I think he just read that one, said it was like a perfect novel. I said it's quite perfect, for sure. Hey, man, tickets to the gun show are in the future, for sure. Nice. So, hey, Leah, along with being a writer, hey, baby, first of all, Emily's in the house. Hey, baby.
Hey, Emily.
Along with being a writer, are you reading actively right now?
Yeah, so I actually
what are you reading right now?
Right now, I'm actually going through my book club book, The Last Train to Key West. It's set in the Depression era, and it's more of a drama, historical fiction. It centers around 3 women and kind of their changing lives and how they're dealing with being in the world and dealing with the depression. And so that's an interesting part. But I'm also in the middle of reading a horror anthology, which is Transformations by Alexander Michael. And actually, I sent you his book, Everything is Summer, earlier this year.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Looks great. Like he has a great look for his editions. This formatting is beautiful. The covers are beautiful. Everything Summer has these beautiful, like, photographic quality illustrations throughout, bro. It's beautiful. I should have grabbed it. I would have it out here on the table, but I'm sorry I didn't grab it. Alexander, if you're watching, whatever. It is sitting like very close because it's not getting out of my immediate vicinity until I read it. I really appreciate you sending me that. SS is in the house. Happy Friday, brother. He says, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen." It's nice to have such classy people stop by.
Really
Everyone who reads it must converse on a Friday night. We're just hanging out, and we have, luxury around, in a way, right?
There you go.
Super late here, but I've managed to come. SS, I appreciate your effort, bro, and your commitment to this channel. Your commitment to what we do here. Okay? I can't, I just can't. And there, on that note, Tiny, the only member of this channel.
Ah.
Now, and you might ask yourself, what does she get for being a member? Not much. But I did give her teeny tiny is my mother.
Yep.
Oh.
So everybody knows. I did give her an amazing book, and this is Borges Poetry.
Yes.
So I gifted this to her, not this edition. I gifted her another edition that I had because she's learning Spanish, and this is English and Spanish. The poems are English and Spanish on either side of the page, right?
Nice.
So I figured you can get into Borges. You love some poetry, you'll get into it, and then also you can flex your Spanish by reading English and Spanish at the same time, whatever, right? So it's turned into sitting on and out, and we've been reading from it like it's just sitting out because she's keeping it out on the daily, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anytime I can just pick it up and read, and I'll just say let's read some Borges. So reading Borges is very powerful for anybody who knows Borges.
I gotta get me some Borges now because I need to up my Spanish. I took 2 years of my dad's Bolivian, and growing up he never talked to me in Spanish, so I'm not even fluent in Spanish. Then I took 2 years in high school, and I tried to speak to him in Spanish all the time, and he just didn't jive with it. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, see, I've got somewhat of the same situation. My dad's side of the family, all Hispanic, and my dad was always like, no one ever taught me to speak Spanish, so I'm not teaching you. If you really want to know, you'll learn.
Oh my goodness!
But
like,
now
give your kid a hand up.
What's up?
Give your kid a hand up in life. You could be like multilingual here.
Yeah, it's called work ethic. Get some.
Oh, it is. Well, one of my secret goals, well, it's not really secrets, I'm telling you. I tell people, but I don't know if I'll ever reach it. I'd love to learn 7 languages.
Yeah, for sure.
So right now, I speak English, French, some Spanish, and some German, but
yes.
we'll see
Borges was Argentinian. So, just a certain dialect or something like this, I'm sure. But it's beautiful. Let's catch up.
Awesome.
Happy Friday for sure. An amazing collection. All the Borges collections are amazing because he was just a master, complete amazing writer that everything is short. Everything is like this flash fiction. Everything's very distilled down and very potent because of it, right? Every word.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So
yeah, you have to be a master writer to do that.
Yes. Since we have a bunch of writers here, Umberto Eco said, I'm not a reader, I'm a writer. What do you think? And he says, I totally agree. I'm a writer and not a reader. Do you think there's a distinction? Is it a hard distinction or a soft one? And where on the side of that distinction or not do you set, or is there no distinction? What do you think?
I think I'll step up.
Ryan's going.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll step on it first a little bit, because when I'm writing, when I'm deep in the writing process myself, I don't like reading. Because I just feel like I'm taking too much from the experience of reading whatever I'm reading at that time.
Right.
But I do think the foundation of actually reading is quite necessary as a writer. Just being familiar with different styles and being able to hone in on that to create your own. So that being said, I'm not as big of a writer, say, as Noah here. I'm actually, because of the job and a few other things, I get very little time to actually put into reading. However, I still return to it as much as possible because I feel like it's necessary to keep your craft honed.
Okay, but I've seen that with you, by the way. I definitely see that. You don't want to read, don't want an outside influence while you're in the act of writing. But in the deep part of you, do you consider yourself more of a writer than a reader, or more of a reader than a writer? And is there a kind of polarity there at all? Is there kind of distinction there, and what is that in any kind of way that you might? think?
I mean, I would definitely consider myself a writer over a reader. I think that's kind of necessary when you're actually putting yourself out there anyways like that, where you darn well better, think of yourself as a writer, right. Because, yeah, no, I mean, it's very much not about ego, but about the confidence behind what you're doing.
And like maybe the impetus to create is something that is a difference between the two modes. What do you think, Leah? You want to talk about it? You got some ideas?
Yeah, well, I was
great idea. Great question, SS, by the way.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for the question. I was a reader first before I was a writer. I only became a writer, started off with poetry when I was 16. So I think for me, I'm very much both at the same time.
Sure.
Especially in the last 3 to 4 years when I started getting into reading like almost a book a week, and just kind of really, I was reading a lot when I was younger. Then when I started my family and had my kids, that kind of slowed down a lot, not because I didn't want to, just I wasn't reading as much. And then I got into writing, and then writing my books, which the first book took about 7 years to fully flesh out and do all the rewrites and the edits and learn that. But once I got into the writing train, then the reading kind of kicked back in. And so now I'm writing both on an equal level.
Nice.
But yeah, I think it's essential to be a good reader to be a writer, because you're learning from the books that you're reading. And I was thinking of what you were saying, Ryan, how it's hard for you to read. Like, what about reading in a different genre than you're writing? Does that help you?
That's actually something I should consider. I actually, because I kind of pigeonhole myself quite a bit. I love dark everything, so I usually stick to horror more than anything. I think that's why I also tend to stray whenever I'm writing, because that's generally my focus. So actually, no, that would be something I've actually been thinking about a lot, especially nonfiction, because, we'll get into it a little bit later, I'm sure, just kind of projects that we're looking to get started on. But a lot of what I know I'm going to be working on with the series that I'm planning on putting out there is going to require quite a bit of research. And I think also, some reference to, nonfiction works. So.
Right. Okay.
Actually, yeah, Leah,
it's gonna require a lot of research. That project, and that is the project that we're kind of kicking around, really going after together. But now's just not the time.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to go ahead and chime in. Thank you, Leah. Awesome thoughts, and I think that you echo a lot of the sentiment and feelings that we both have hearing Ryan, and just where we come from as writers as well. It's come up time and time again over November, where we are constantly referencing or alluding to the greatest writing book on writing that's ever been done. It's Stephen King's On Writing. Okay.
Yes, I have my copy here too.
Fount of knowledge. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, bring it out, girl. Let's show it. Yes.
Yes.
Bring it on.
I actually think it's my favorite.
It's my favorite too. It really is. I've read so many, and I really love it. There's too much good stuff here to really get you in the writing mode. And he says what came up between me and you on the writing sprints Wednesday, that you can't be a good writer unless you are a strong reader. And Stephen King is an unbelievably strong reader. Okay, period. Just his many books he's able to write and keep ideas feeling fresh, right?
Yeah.
So as far as a writing and reading, and do I see myself more of a writer than a reader? I think that, like you said, Leah, I found myself a reader at a very young age, at a young teen, preteen, up through high school and things like this, but really coming back around in adulthood, young adulthood, and then through as a way for me to just gain knowledge. It was always a lot of spiritual study, nonfiction as well. But since I started the YouTube channel here, fiction has taken over and dominated my reading. And I love it, but storytelling has become such a big part of what I love about now. And it wasn't really like that. It was, you know, in a younger age, and it always was. But as a mature reader, I'm able to like go into just that aspect of it, of fiction and storytelling, and have an appreciation for it as something that like we do as humanity, and something that, like Joan Didion says, we tell ourselves stories in order to live. All right, this is what shapes our personalities and our inner lives, and it's our stories. I love this. I just love this aspect of it. And then what are the stories? You know, it's distilled down, it's emotions and thoughts, and how we frame our own experiences in life, and how that comes out through stories might be with layers and layers and multiple characters and imaginings, and blended with maybe something that we've gone through. But being a reader is something that is like ingrained in me, but then that writer, being a writer, is something that's deeper. It is an impulse, a want in me to create and like give something that is a story that's in the vein of all this other storytelling that is now of me and my own. And that's what being a writer, like that impulse is of, for me, to like try to tell a story in a way that like I will tell it, you know, in my own unique experience and voice and whatever.
It's very intentional outward movements of yourself. And there's all sorts of different types of storytelling, right? There's the written word, there's oral storytelling, there's songs, there's serving a community and sharing stories kind of through service. And for those people that are in these modes of storytelling, I believe it gives us an advantage because we don't just coast through life. We're actively taking in what we're seeing, and we want to share. And I think it's a beautiful thing.
It is beautiful. Thank you, Leah. Yeah. And I mean, you know, Leah, she really knows what she's talking about, is when it comes down to. And I wanted to kind of, let's just piggyback right off of that, because you have written series before. Your Canadian Reminiscence series is how long? 3 books?
4 books right now.
4 books.
So 2 are standalone novels, and then they have 2 sequel novellas, slightly shorter work.
Okay. And what are you writing? What's the current project? Part of another series, right?
So it's actually the same series, but it's just like the next standalone novel in the series, and it's based in the Northwest Territories of Canada during World War II. And I never thought I would write Northwest Territories as my next province because it's just so out there. But I was reading a book of World War II stories, of like personal stories, and it would be stories in the Royal Navy, it would be stories in the Air Force, it'd be stories of people who accidentally died, and just like all these like little snippets of stories. And one section was on the building of the Canole pipeline, and I was like, what's that? So I read a bunch of these stories, and I found out that the American Army was up in Canada building this pipeline to get oil to Alaska because they were afraid that the Japs were going to invade from the west. So that just really piqued my interest, and then I just started looking into it. And then as I was looking into it, the story just came into my head, the characters and the thematic elements. So that's what I'm writing right now.
So she has this kind of thing of being inspired by historical fiction, like inspired by history study and like what humanity has done. You like kind of sense an individual story in that and want to tell their story.
See, and to me, that's also, I mean, that's the beauty of writing. is really, I mean, and you mentioned before, Leah, just, um, in a way you said previously, we're doing the work kind of, in life. And that's actually what I love most about exactly what you're talking about there. It's putting ourselves in unfamiliar shoes, things that we aren't able to perceive on a daily, but still at least attempting to put yourself there. It's never a perfect, process. However, it's still the inaction of trying to not just be yourself or be in your own shoes times and put yourself out there within other people's, experiences. There's something extremely therapeutic about that, and not to mention, yeah, no, I mean that's the beauty of writing. Is,
for sure,
yeah,
for sure. And I mean, you have your own kind of whole thing with why you create, and I think that there's a personal quality to why each of us as individuals wants to, and what we get to in our life that gives us the access to that point and want to bring something out and think that it has even has value to share, right? So having the kind of, my boy Ryan here has an idea for a series that's just crazy big. So
I can't wait to hear
how to get how to piece that off and how to really do that kind of thing. I look at it, me personally, and I'm just like, you write what you feel each day and you don't care about it too much. Organize it, how you can, and then just add or, go at whatever. And I don't have, like I said in our writing sprints, I'm really fly by the seat of my pants as far as writing. I don't care. I just kind of go with my own momentum and my own effort of what I want to do, and I just sit down and I start, and then I just write it out. And my boy Ryan is just an idea guy, probably just goes and goes and goes. What kind of advice do you got for that kind of thing?
For pantsing.
Or no, but for having a big idea, like a giant big project, maybe even a series, multiple books, and how to, kind of, how do you organize that, or what do you do, to?
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I'm doing right now with my series, right? Like it's going to be 13 books long because there's 13 provinces and territories in Canada. I have to cover all of them with little mini sequels for each of them. Yeah, I love the idea of a big vision project, and it all started with the idea for my first book, and then I was like, oh, I could do this. I could just blow it up to like encompass all of the country. And I focused on that one book. I released it. And then I waited for a little period to kind of be inspired, just again, by living, by learning like a sponge, by always having my ears open to see what I can learn from the past and from people around me and from their stories and maybe from what they knew that I didn't know. Because I write Canadian historical fiction. It's funny, I know a lot about American history, but not so much Canadian. And so it's been a learning discovery experience for me. And yeah, you go with the inspiration, and then when I find it, I write it, close the chapter, and then it's funny, when that ends, it's like the next inspiration happens at a pretty good clip, because I'm kind of constantly open, even when I'm in the middle of, let's say, book 2.
Nice.
And I was I think I was doing the sequel to book 2, and that's when I found out my inspiration for this book. And so you just hold on to it and then wait, just be patient, and then move to the next thing as soon as you're done.
Cool. Now, while you're doing that, out of curiosity, do you find yourself drifting off into short stories and things like that? Let's say you find yourself in an area where maybe it's writer's block or something else. Do you find yourself going in other directions, or when you're writing something, you're focused solely on that?
Yeah, it's I don't do a lot of short stories. I did a short story as a like a little mini novella for before the second book, like a little short story kind of introducing the character of the second book. I wrote a horror short story last year. I don't know why. I can't even. Oh, I think it was a dream I had. I had a dream, and I just remember it being very vivid. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go with it. But I only wrote it
Love this.
in between projects. For me, when I'm in a project, even if I have writer's block, even if the page is right in front of me, and it's so painful to write anything, I just force myself to write something. And usually, the first 2 paragraphs are probably gonna be slashed and rewritten at some point. But when I write the first 2 paragraphs, then it's like, oh, I'm back in the flow. It's okay. It's just really, really difficult to get those words on paper. How about you? How do you deal with writer's block, Ryan?
I mean, honestly, I don't allow it.
Good, I like that answer.
Well, okay, so I mean, and what I mean by saying that, if for whatever reason, whatever I'm working on, if it's not gelling, then I move over to something that I am feeling the drive to write on. I think, with me being stream of consciousness more than anything, I think focus is one of the most important things. I mean, obviously, I guess, but either way, yeah, if I'm not feeling what I sat down to write, then I write something. I think, it's just always the idea of getting something out there.
Right.
Because regardless, at least what I find is it will cause me to circle back around. And then whatever I was not having the inspiration to write on before, now it kind of it feeds that inspiration a little bit.
I think that's great that we're also different in that way, because you find something that works for you, and this is what works for me. And it's interesting because my personality, I'm like that with everything. Like, I have a really hard time reading 2 books at a time or watching 2 shows at a time. Like, I need to finish and then start.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what works for my personality, and that's what works for you. And so we have tips and tricks, and I think it's great that there's such a variety of tips and tricks to get over it, because what may work for me may not work for someone else, and what may work for you doesn't work for me.
Sure, but that's why, what we're doing here, we're just throwing them out there. We just want to hear them, and that's what you do very well on your channel, Leah. If anybody's down, y'all go check out Pen to Paper. It'll be in the description box. Just paper. And that's the thing is, just good kind of enthusiasm and like encouragement. That's what we're about through this November. I want to touch. Let's go back so I don't miss any. PG, I ain't finna read that. Says reading has really changed how I write raps. He's pretty cool. He's put out some cool little reels on Instagram. Go check them out if you want. I like to keep continuity of thought in every verse and song. Before I was just cramming rhymes and alliteration as far as crossing genres go. I listen to a lot of hip hop. I love hip hop, okay? And I love lyricism and this kind of thing. It's really, really big in my being, right? And in my writing, I find that kind of thing. How PG is talking about the reading informing his writing raps. I find the kind of lyricism, fierce alliteration, fierce, quick rhyming, if you feel, and free form of giving these kind of hip hop lyrical techniques to writing is something that I feel is part of my voice. I don't know if it comes through in things like when I out loud. I don't know if it comes through when you read it on the page, but I just feel it, and it just kind of informs the voice of the author there. So whether or not it's apparent in the reading, it's still there, because it's just kind of where it is in the impetus from me, in a way, But that's very, very cool. SS is having a rough night. He misses the entire discussion. and then one of the dogs chooses remote control and the other one ran away. So, hey, bro, you know, I'm sorry to hear
Yeah.
it.
It sounds like an active night over
They
there.
got some serious dogs.
Yeah.
SS got some serious dogs. He was staying up late to see the live, and now, you know, complete
Aw.
mayhem
Oh,
around.
that's so frustrating.
Connor,
Yeah.
Conrob, what's up, brother? Happy to see you. Happy Friday. Leah,
Yes,
so
so,
sorry. What's
sorry,
the name of your books, please?
So the first book is Redeemed from the Ashes, and the second standalone is Wisps of Gold, and the whole series is the Canadian Reminiscence series. There
Very
you go.
cool. Very cool. Very cool.
Well,
if you want to throw it, there's a little private chat place in the StreamYard. If you want to throw it, just write them down. I'll
Okay.
throw them in the chat. I'll throw them in the chat,
Sounds
and then I'll
great.
throw them in the description box after we're done with the live
Got
here.
it.
which that actually kind of leads me to you know, at least announce for the from the last time we did a live. I know I was talking a lot about releasing the short story.
Yeah.
So that is now out on Kindle.
Yes. Here
So
we go. I'm dropping the link as you talk about it. There we go. Boom.
There we
and
go.
very
There's Ryan's.
shortly, I will have the audio reading of it. I've already recorded that, so that will be posting to Audible sometime soon. I just have
That's
to,
exciting.
we have to remaster the file because there's a, you know, Amazon's finicky. So,
Right.
Yes, it can be.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's the link in the chat for Ryan's short story. First one that he's published here out on the Kindle. You're going to have an audio as well, right?
Yes. And there will be
It sounds freaking fantastic. I heard it already.
Should we listen to the audio or read the book first? Which one? Or both at the same time?
It's just a short story. Any way you would like it.
Yeah.
But Ryan's reading it himself, and if you saw
Wow.
his reading on the other live that we did, he is a passionate reader and a passionate delivery of dialogue, and you know, he's a theater guy.
Yeah, I do treat it very theatrical as
Okay.
I'm reading it. So I guess it really depends on how you would like it disseminated. Is at the end of the day, I think I'm the type of person where I like actually seeing something written, but listening to it at the same time. I'm very tactile, but I like I don't know. I think I'm one of those learners that just takes from all, you know, parts of the spectrum. So you know, writing stuff down and hearing it, all that really stands to, you know, make things a little bit more concrete for me. So, hey, you know, if you want to be an overachiever, why not get the story itself and listen to it while you're reading it.
That's right. Do both. Why not?
I haven't done that yet, so that will be my first go at it.
That's great.
I think that will work out. It's a short story, so you know, we'll start out with that.
I'm gonna love to hear your feedback from it, Leah. Please let me know.
Yeah, for sure. I will.
Very cool. So I got Ryan's story link in the chat. Here's the link. Y'all do whatever. John Saxon, for life says listen to it. He was here for the other live.
Yeah.
He knows your delivery there. So for sure, I definitely recommend that. It's a cool story. It's cool as hell. Get it however you feel like, and then give my boy some feedback. Really.
Definitely.
And that's what it comes down to. Do we try to mimic pieces of an author's style, or is that an awkward thing to do? So, you know, when it comes down to it, I'll go at this one first since I was last time, okay? Like, me personally, there is such a weird thing with writing because I have come in contact with so much stuff and read so many different things. And I love the way that different authors treat subjects and the way that they use words. And I love poetics in prose. I love books that are poetry, narrative poetry, or prose, a book that's written in verse. That's my jam. That's like my jam. Okay. I love that kind of thing. So
That's awesome.
if I would be like the height of what I would want to like kind of aspire to myself, right? And that comes from within. That's something that I think that if I could write a book, a narrative, a really intriguing story, whatever it is, but do it in poetics, fierce poetics, something like some Faulkner, maybe, right?
Hmm.
Is the man at this. Something like that. Anne Carson comes to mind as well, one of the most gifted poets that we have. That I would love to do that. Now that comes from inside, not from seeing something like that and say, "Oh, I want to do that." It's not a mimicry. That's I've come into contact with those authors after I have this impulse, something that is from within. But there's so many things that I've come in contact with reading, and things that I've come in contact with that I love, that but there is no mimicry. Well, when it comes down to something like what you've brought up ideas before. When Ryan will tell me an idea that he has to for a piece of a story or something, and I'm like, I remember something that you said just a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I likened it to a part in Foucault's Pendulum where they're creating these correspondences between Jewish Kabbalah and the Knights Templar and all this stuff and the automobile. And it's just a correspondence train and this real conspiracy theory, thing. And that's what the book's doing. And I thought, now here's a thing that's been done before, but this idea need not be cast off because of it. How could you flex it? What could we do? What is narrative and writing capable of, or something? And we didn't flesh that out anymore, but that's my posture towards that kind of thing. It's not. I would never want to imitate, but I can't help but things that I love inform how I write. Okay, what I think is beautiful on the page.
Yes.
Right.
I would certainly hesitate to ever use the word mimicry for anything, especially within my writing. I definitely, though, when I'm writing things, I will definitely get flashes of Stephen King or other authors that I'm fed by. But it's I think trying to put yourself in the headspace of your heroes is one of the things that we can't.
It's not going to work.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
These kind of things, if they've been done, everything's been done. Every literary device has been used, right? but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't use it. A certain poetic image has been used and done to death. Okay, the snake or the whatever, but you don't stop using that because it's so powerful and it is what it is. It has an isness, this substance to it. So it's a truth. And we just can do what we can do. We are and as creators and of somebody who's trying to write something, create something in that way, we're just as much part of it as anybody else. And I think that that's a big thing that comes through in poetry, that if you can see the beauty of it, that's a beautiful, it's a gift and a curse, this kind of thing, because you're still trapped in it. You're just like anybody else, but you have a vision, and these kind of visions are just art. It's art. That's what it is. And then to love art, and everybody loves art. There's nobody that doesn't love art in some kind of way. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I like that you brought up I like that you brought up the snake imagery, because you can have something that's used a lot, even a trope for even a trope could be overused, and yet an author, everybody is unique, right? Everybody goes through unique experiences, sees the world in a very unique way, and so they'll take that trope or that allegorical elements, and then they'll write it in a slightly different slant that maybe the reader has never come across before.
Right.
And then when that happens,
it's
like,
work,
oh,
it's gonna happen. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe they have come across it, but maybe you'll come across those readers who haven't come across it. And then they'll be like, wow, I've just learned something. Where, there's that connection that happens that they wouldn't get from anybody else but you.
That's
Because
exactly
you were in their life at that time to connect in that way.
Yes.
That's the exact reason why I said what I was saying about mimicry is the fact that we're bringing our own flavor to it. If you're just trying to copy someone for the sake of copying, that's mimicry. But this, when you're putting yourself out there within the style that you respect from someone else, that's the tip of the hat. That's not,
There's nothing wrong with paying homage to somebody and like that.
Yeah.
But doesn't what Leah's saying speak very much to the impetus of why you write anyways? To share yourself, to share your own path, to show that it's okay, to use it as your own therapy in a very transparent way. Even if it is, layered with metaphor and characters and whatever, but there's still, it's the driving thing. It's cool, and what I always say, I come down to it and say, well, what is the substance that we create out of, right? We only have one substance that we can create out of, and it's ourselves. We don't have access to anything, like really. Everything else is given to us for us to, kind of use or whatever. But the only thing that we can really use to like make something out of is our own reflections on our experience and this kind of thing.
Yeah, because even outside surroundings, although they affect the way you see things, you can have one scenario and you'll have 10 different people see it 10 different ways, or with 10 different slants or perspectives.
Right.
So you're right. Like it all comes from within and how you see things.
Right. That's something that I definitely enjoy from when people first start reading anything that I put out is them pointing out things that I never considered when I was writing it. Just certain phrases I'll use, or certain types of voice that I didn't realize I was using. And, having that being pointed out by an audience is always powerful. It's very reflective. It's something that I love going back to and going, okay, what brought this out? And, so.
Okay, look, we're coming up on like the last 10 minutes. Now, we don't have to keep it at just an hour. We don't have to keep it at just an hour. I don't know. I didn't go over anything with you before, Leah, if we want to push it over an hour. I don't know what your night looks like. I don't want to impose, but so I'm just bringing it up now. What do you think?
I'm free. I'm good.
Okay, we're cool.
The rest of the night, let's go to midnight. No, I'm joking.
You're awesome. Okay. I can't do all that, but I'm not worried about it.
I'm a late night owl, so.
Yeah, same here. Let's catch up on the comments, and then we'll see. Okay, let's see. It's a fear of his to mimic people. Of course, nobody wants to mimic. It's maybe not the best choice of word because it has a connotation to it. But even that kind of imitation, flattery, imitation or something is what he's talking about, because what you're going to do in your novel or your writing has been done before. 99.99999% of the time. Okay. I mean, I'm not saying that you can't be original, but I'm saying it's not easy. It's going to have some idea, and then it's going to be the most original thing that somebody has ever thought of, right? It's just not going to happen like that. It takes a lot of, churning and grist, milling that grist, you know what I mean? Really chewing on it and doing all that stuff, right?
Well, and I don't think that's necessarily something to fear. You know,
No, 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 no. It's
I
part
give
of what we do,
tons.
baby.
I mean, you know, if Stephen King ever, by the grace holy, actually came across anything I read, I'm sure he would blush because it's obvious how much
Sure.
just load in there of things that I love out of what he's written. But I mean, it's like anything else, you know, if you're a rock star, you're putting all the different influences you've received before yourself to what you're doing. I think the important thing is that you always follow up here.
Right.
Make sure
Right.
it's what you
Right.
feel.
Right.
Make sure it's real for you.
I think we're, you know, we didn't talk about what we're talking about right now beforehand or anything like this, but it's just the kind of place that we're getting to as creatives and writers that are coming together, and just some of us feeling, some of us been in the game for a while and this kind of thing or whatever, but really coming to a kind of foundation or a kind of common ground where we're from a drive of what we feel like inside that we want to share with the world, bringing the inside out, make the inside show that, in a way, and whether it's beautiful or scary, sometimes.
Definitely scary.
All right.
Actually, I want to. Can I quickly throw something out?
Let me
I
not
want to
get.
quickly
We
throw
got to
something
catch
out
up.
to do with. Okay.
There's one thing I did want to ask Leah.
Okay.
I really want to throw it out.
Okay.
Because I mean, this is a curiosity. Both Noah and I, of course, on our journey as writers, are the, you know, very much the beginning of our journey. And something I've already been thinking about is, you know, a year from now, if I'm still the same, you know I will have changed my process by quite a bit. If you look back upon, you know, your time of getting into it, what do you think some of the biggest changes you've you know, undergone as a writer?
First off, have you been writing? And then,
Ooh, that's a really good question. Okay. Well, I've been writing. Started my first book when I was 17, and then I kind of put it away for a year and a half because I got married and had my first kid, and then I picked it back up again. So then it took like a 7-year period.
nice. Great.
Okay, so the question is, sorry, what is the question
Oh,
again?
the kind of changes that you've gone through as a
Yes.
writer during
Yeah.
your whole process of learning to be a writer, you know, becoming a
Yes,
writer.
this is the changes. Definitely being more confident with the first draft process of just like almost vomit writing, just write whatever's coming. Because I remember at the beginning, there's a lot of inner editor that I would have to kind of fight and would want to constantly go back and change things, and just learning to be more in the flow of what's coming out in the story, in the characters, and also having the courage to let the story completely guide your writing. I love this little story that I have of mine, and it was so weird and freaky, but it's crazy. I was writing my second book, and I had the idea for this character, and I thought, okay, this is what this character is going to be to do this later on in the book. And literally, it's only happened once, but this character started arguing with me. Like, nope,
Nice.
this isn't going to be happening.
Right.
It's going to be this way. And I was like, no, it can't be that way. I was just literally arguing in my head with this character for 20 minutes straight. And then finally at the end, I was like, okay, I guess we're going to go that way. And that's the way I went. So just totally opening myself up to that storytelling process of letting the story take place.
For sure.
Yeah, those are two of the biggest ones, I think, for sure.
So Conrob says some cool stuff here too. As much as you try to mimic someone, I feel like you'll always have your own perspective. It's not like you can mimic or use prose exactly like Pynchon or O'Connor or whoever, right? And that's the truth, right? Because when Flannery O'Connor found her voice to create her books, or Thomas Pynchon has his own voice to create his books. They found their own artistic voice.
Mm-hmm.
So they've done that, you know? And in mimicry, it's going to fall short because you can't help but bring this other stuff that may or may not fit with that kind of voice that you're doing, or the kind of thing that you're trying to do. It's, you know, I can only say that with me, when I'm at the point where I'm comfortable doing what I'm doing in the way that I'm executing it right now, it's because when I'm writing, it's just about the words, and it's just about the sentence that I'm on right then, and it's just about the story that I'm trying to tell. It's not about how it's done. That kind of thing I've already kind of figured out. The perspective that I'm going to tell the story from, the way that the story is going to be presented is figured out. So all that's left is to I had told Ryan this before we started, that it was like a thing where I'm just going through the time, and I'm going moment by moment, very slowly through the time period with these characters. And then I'm just pulling something from this moment, and then something from the next moment, and then something from the next moment. And then sometimes it flows, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's the previous moment doesn't have anything to do with the next moment. Maybe a thought arose or something like this. But it is a thing where the time is the continuity of my short story, and what I'm pulling out is just real intimate kind of concerned with my perspective that I'm telling the story from, which is already worked out. I'm not having to think about this kind of stuff. So I guess it's a testament to being in the final rewrite, huh? In that way. Sure. Right. So with so Leah's already shared what you're involved in, your project that you're on right now. I wanted to give one idea. What's up, cutie? I wanted to give a little space for, okay, there's some more link action. Let's see if we have any cool comments to get to. If we're going to go keep going till midnight, SS is up for it, for sure. He's probably going to be walking around chasing that dog for a while. I did something similar to Leah, finished my book 10 years ago, and it took me 9 years to go back and edit and do the second draft.
That's what I'm going through right now.
Okay, I know how I want to write my story now. Maybe I'll do NaNoWriMo when I've got my sea legs in the astral plane. There you go, baby.
Yep.
That's how I get my best ideas. You know?
See, I think that's one of the biggest things. I mean, I don't think that trying to whip your story into a certain direction. It's kind of like what Leah said previously about having that argument with your character. If you try to make a story do something that it's not willing to do, then I think it jumps out just as much to the audience as it does to you as a writer. So, yeah, no, that's
actually kind of going along with the lines of that. I just thought of one other thing is, with each work that I write, to push myself into an uncomfortable zone, something that, you stretch yourself a little bit. And I think it's a great learning process too, not only with the story you're trying to write, but just even yourself as a person.
Yes.
So that's fun to do, which I've done with all my books, interestingly enough. And it's not like I set out to do it, but once I realized I came to that point, I was like, okay.
Yeah, try to slide into discomfort.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, I mean, it's where strength lives, it's where our ability to grow is within that ability for us to reach outside to do something that's not, normal for us. And Oh, such a cutie.
Yeah, they just got home from, they go to a kids club every Friday and they just got home. So
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Very cool.
So
Very, very cool.
their daddy will put them to bed.
Hey, buddy. Nice to see you. You got a flower for Mama?
Yeah, they did. Bunch
Very
of
nice.
roses and
Yeah,
sweet
Very, very nice. All right. So, there you go.
Okay.
We had
Aw.
an idea. Thank you. Have you ever read an author that you've never read before and discovered that writing style is extremely close to yours? It's uncanny, especially if it's a famous writer. Ever happen? Like, that you read a new author that you feel just, that's my style. That's somebody that, their voice is in the way that I feel mine is, or something like that.
I don't know. I mean, I don't. I hope this does not come out severely pompous, but I don't feel like I could ever find in anybody else's writing the same voice as I have.
Right.
Not, and I mean, I don't mean that in any way other than to say,
I think it speaks to kind of what I said earlier with that kind of drive between the writer and the reader. That we wouldn't want to write, we wouldn't want to create if we didn't think we had something original to say. And that doesn't mean that we're going to use words in a way that's never been used before, or say thing in some special way we deserve to be lauded, something like this. It's just that there is a uniqueness to the expression that is beneficial for somebody.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, there's a quote. I mean, I guess say what you will about me quoting the movie Airheads, but still, I mean, there is a line where I think it's he says, "I think I'm screwed up and average enough to write to write a piece of music that will last forever." And I think that's actually a just very much into the spirit of writing. Where it is, I mean, sometimes our simplicity and the vulnerability that we have, it's something we live with all the time. Very few other people are able to step into that space. So I think that's what's so special about writing, about artistic expression in itself, is it has very little to do with capturing lightning in a bottle so much as it is, and kind of circling around to find yourself.
Right, for sure. What do you think, Leah?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's the process, right, of circling around. Yeah, it's coming from yourself. It's connection. I agree.
She freaking knows what's up too. So SS says why this happened to him when he read Gabriel Garcia Marquez for the first time last year. So 100 Years of Solitude is one of those most amazing books, okay? But I'm telling you, if you like 100 Years of Solitude, if you like Gabriel Garcia Marquez kind of magical realist style, then you read Pedro Páramo by Juan Rulfo. And this is the book that Gabriel Garcia Marquez read twice in one night that inspired him to write 100 Years of Solitude, and basically was very formative to his own narrative voice. Okay, so seeing this kind of thing where a work, Juan Rulfo wrote that one book his whole life. Other than that, he wrote a few short stories. That's it. So this author influenced Gabriel Garcia Marquez in such a way that you can't help but see the influence in the book, in the works. And yet Gabriel Garcia Marquez is a giant, a literary giant that is, an example of a type of genre, especially Latin American magical realism. All right. And you know, when you read Pedro Paramo, you can't help but see the whole groundwork for something like 100 Years of Solitude. There's no negative in you know, an homage, in mimicking, in allowing something, a literary writer, a literary voice, an author's voice, or a way of storytelling to inform your own storytelling. There's no negative to letting that inform your own way of telling a story. Period. Now, you might want to go back and, like, you know, you always want it to be your authentic way that you're saying something, and that only comes from within. But, you know, like we said, everything's been done, right? Don't be afraid to embrace the kind of stories that we love and the storytelling that we love, right?
I think that's a beautiful picture of, you mentioned Pedro Paramore with the one book, right? Which he is known for and is unique in its own right. But then it was like a stepping stone for Marquez to have, like, to blow up as a giant, you said, right? And I think sometimes we feel as writers, we kind of get this air that, oh, the body of work that I have, I deserve to be blown up like these other people. But we don't know the type of impact that our work is going to have on future writers or present writers, and how that will impact readers abroad globally. So I think it's important to have this very humble attitude about it, that whatever I write and whatever readers read it, that's who I was meant to impact in some way, shape, or form. And then from there, it just rolls.
There's a lot of very popular writers of their day that nobody reads anymore. And there's a lot of very popular writers in their day that, you know, are classics. And then there's a lot of people who were never popular when they were living that are complete giants now. And, you know, you never know. It goes all different ways, and we're not in control of that kind of thing. John Saxon, Get No for Life, says, Ryan, when is the audio going to be available? Ryan, the audio.
It's going to be soon. I actually, I had a
Jeez. I mean, look, Ryan.
Yeah.
It's this
What's soon? What's the due date?
What's the due date, bro?
You need a deadline.
Sounds good.
See, the problem is, me as an audio engineer, I'm not. So I had to send this off to a buddy of mine that handled the actual engineering, because what is actually the problem right now is it's not hitting a correct byte rate or something within the file. So we have to, I mean, it's a simple process, at least in action, but it's also very time consuming. It's basically what he tells me it's called is bouncing down. It's basically remastering the file again.
Hey, Ryan, we ain't trying to get on into this technical jargon, bro.
Well, I'm just answering the question.
Just what date can we get this freaking audio of your book, bro? I want to hear
Get
you
it done.
deliver to my ear holes your story. Serious.
It will be available shortly.
Nice. Hey, shortly. I mean,
shortly could be next month or 6 months.
No.
Your confidence is, spilling over, Leah. Thank you.
John, we're talking about a week.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about a week. It's ready. It's good.
Something I told Noah before we started is I cannot wait to have everything done with From the Top of the Stairs, because I almost feel hampered in the stuff that I want to write by the fact that I'm trying to get this finished.
Yeah.
So trust me, just as much as you want it out there, I want it out there so I can just say, done.
Yeah. I'm sure you're with that, Leah, getting to the end of a project and just, having finalized it in a way that you're really happy with, or maybe you're doing last minute stuff, but you're just done with it and you just want to be done. And so you can present it and have it there to share, but you don't want to work on it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my first book actually really primed me for this, because even after I finished writing the first book and did all the rewrites and edits, I specifically took a year off just to focus on marketing. Like, how do you, work as a self-published author, and how do you reach an audience? And so doing that taught me patience when you're at the end and you just want to get something done, but sometimes you need to take that time to fully finish it well. You don't want to finish it quickly and then you're missing things and you're just being a little messy with it. So it's important to do it and then finish it well. Take the time that you need, right?
I've never been a multitasker, and I mean, so that's exactly, I think, exactly what you're saying right there is the sole reason. Is I don't want to bring too much attention to other things, thus cheapening the ability to put my all into, like the short story at this point.
Hey, I mean, it's already there. You're so close. It's just being there right at that cusp and being like, oh man, I mean, do I have to do some little, some more stuff, formatting stuff, cosmetic stuff, whatever it might be.
I just don't want to be
being, you're done with the story. It's at a finished state. It's like,
I just don't want to be George Lucas 20 years in the future going, oh, I might as well CGI Anakin in here. And it's just like, leave it alone, dude. Walk away.
Yes, I think it's really important to walk away at a certain point. Like, you have those authors that say, oh, I have to keep editing because it's just not perfect. Well, you're never going to reach perfection.
Right. Well, what is perfection? I mean, that is so subjective.
Right.
Yeah, it really is.
One of the greatest, one of my...
You have to get to a point where you're happy with it.
Yeah.
But like, you have to allow yourself to be happy with it too.
Right.
Yeah, you have to be.
I think there's the point you gotta let it breathe on its own. For all its, I guess what we could consider imperfections, that's part of what creates what it is in the first place. It's like people say, you end up, the things that you fell in love with your partner are, great, but a lot of times it's the imperfect things that really last with you, the things that you really think about people.
Right.
And so I think works are the same way. If you're striving for perfection, then buckle up, because you're probably never going to arrive.
That's it. You're never going to achieve it, and then you're never going to have forward momentum to do future projects, and you learn from imperfection. Like, I look at my first book and I'm happy with it, but I'm like, I had some growing to do, but you only grow because you've released it, because you've put it out there for others to read and to ingest, and then you learn from others' perspectives. Like, you just gotta move on.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But I tell people all the time, and I'm sure you're gonna get this a lot, Leah. I mean, maybe it's but when it comes down to like, life makes you ready to handle, or makes you able to handle what it is that's about to throw at you by the process of you going through it, whether it be teenage years with a wake-up call, or being a parent with a 9-month pregnancy. Like, life makes you ready for what it's about to hand you by the process of going through it. And I think writing is very much the kind of thing. If you want to bite off and you can have the vision to take that bite of a novel and want to write a novel, then the process of getting to a point where you even might be finished with it, or might be seeing the finish line, that shapes you as a writer, as you know, somebody that's doing it. So the process itself is a tool for growth.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, I think I brought up, you know, previously that that was the whole reason for pushing out my work was like, I just need to hit this milestone.
Yep.
Regardless of what it becomes, regardless of, you know, what it is in the future, it's still, it's at the end of the day, it's still that milestone aspect where it's like, I passed this, so now, you know, move on to the next step.
Right.
Move on to the next discomfort.
Well, there you go.
Yes,
I mean,
the
you know,
next discomfort. I love that. Yeah.
Borges, baby. SS says when someone asked Borges, why did you publish this book? He answered, stop writing it.
That's priceless. I love that.
There you go. My boy Idget reads and rambles. Quentin is in the house. Thank you for coming by, brother. He's been you know, doing his university thing. He is got basketball games that he likes to go to on Friday nights, cutting into our Friday night hangout time. I don't mind it, bro. You do you. But my boy Quentin, I shared my story with. I want to let Quentin is the only one that I've shared my story with up until where it's at right now, other than Ryan. Ryan has read it, of course.
Yes.
So it just is what it is. and Quentin has shared with me some really cool stuff. So I want to tell you, if you like the transgressive, if you like some real cool kind of edgy stuff, hit Quentin up. Idget Reads and Rambles. This is an unsolicited advertisement. He has no idea. He might not even be down, but do it anyways, okay? Because he shared it with me. It's cool. He might need a little help to, you know, want to share this kind of thing. It's something. Thank you for sharing with me, brother. It deserves to be read. You have a very cool voice. Keep flexing it. The more people that read it and give you kind of feedback, the more you're going to be able to flex it. And we're all going to get better and better. And it's all about self-expression, right?
Yeah, I think honestly, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, if you just grab one person, that's the goal. You know, I mean,
to touch one life.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, Noah and I talked about it a little bit.
You know, especially with the kind of content that you create, Leah, you know, we go for the real. I want real readers. If I'm talking about writing, I want real writers. I don't need somebody talking about writing to me that doesn't write. You know what I mean? And I don't need somebody talking about a book that, you know, didn't read it. Things like that. I mean, that kind of stuff is around. So when it comes down to it, we just like and what I like here on the channel, and I do a good job of weeding it out. And I think you do too, of creating content for those and on the level that we really want to be. You know? And then the content has value, but also it's a slower growth, but you're gonna have your people.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and that's just kind of the thing that we're doing, and it's a thing of, and I think I'll kind of close it out with this. I want to get everybody's kind of thought on it though, because it is a creative thing. That art itself, like capital A art, is intimate with a capital T truth, like the truth of what our reality is about, and that there is something primal and fundamental about art and being an artist and having this kind of creativity. So there is an inherent value, even if you are on the process to becoming an artist. We're not necessarily, you know, masters at our craft.
No.
but we but we have this kind of feeling and these kind of thoughts and feelings and this kind of impulse is something that is not focused on, sadly, and something that is inherent, I'm saying, as a kind of a claim, an inherent to the human experience. And so artistry and being an artist is of value like that. And I'm here for that. That's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think? Leah, you first.
Yes.
Me first. Okay. Art and truth. Okay. You're going really deep here.
I asked for your email, Quentin, because I'm sending you my story. I already sent it. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think all art has value in itself because it is created by all who have value, right? Every person has value. Every person has worth. However, I believe that there are certain arts, certain pieces of art that speak the most powerful because they're the most aligned to truth of what is actually true. There are some people who create art who unfortunately delude themselves or in denial about how they're feeling or how they perceive the world. And so, yes, their art has value in the sense of you understand how they're feeling, how they see the world, but yet it falls short because you see that discrepancy between their art and truth. So I really do believe that the greatest art.
Everybody's perception of like capital T truth is a growth thing too, right?
Yes.
But we're there.
Sure.
Yeah. Totally
for
sure.
Sure.
And I actually,
you're there. This was made for you. This kind of question here.
Well, and if I looked like I was being semi-rude, like going through my phone, I was trying to find.
Oh, I didn't even see.
No, okay, all good.
Yeah,
because I felt totally disrespectful.
We're riveted, baby. It's all good.
No, and I also want to say to John, appreciate the comment that you made. I look forward to getting the voice work out there to y'all as well. I think I do really enjoy reading my stuff out loud. So, but I did want to focus on there's a book I read when I got to Georgia that Jim, my good friend Jim, had me read, and it's by the guy who wrote The Legend of Bagger Vance. He did a bunch of movies and all the other stuff, and he did a book just on the pursuit of creative pursuits, or actually just goals in general.
Nice.
And it's called The War of Art. And back during a time when I was really doubting whether or not I really wanted to put myself out there, I saw this specific page, and I always look back at it, and it's one of my favorite quotes. And it says, "Self-doubt can be an ally. This is because it serves as indicator of aspiration. It reflects love of something we dream of doing, and desire to do it. If you find yourself asking yourself and your friends, am I really a writer? Am I really an artist? Chances are you are. The counterfeit innovator is wildly self-confident. The real one is scared to death."
Damn right.
I love that.
Love it.
Awesome.
So good.
I've got to recommend that book. I mean, to anyone, and I'm not even just talking about creative pursuit in writing or anything else, he talks a lot in that book about leaning into discomfort.
Right.
Whenever you find yourself in uncharted territory for yourself, that's where you need to learn to thrive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And I mean, okay, in this creative pursuit, just creativity itself, I personally, fall back more and more into poetry within myself. Like poetry is where this kind of thing is more raw. Okay. The storytelling. So it's more mythology, it's a mythological, and then it's just purely poetic, and it's just like experience only, emotion only, image only, that kind of thing. I'll say that SS quoted, I don't know who the quote is, virtue and art is synonym of truth. I agree with that if you capitalize all three of those things, because that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a truth. I'm talking about the truth. I'm not talking about a virtue. I'm talking about the virtue. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about a type of art. I'm talking about capital A art as a human pursuit, what is done. I mean, and it's hard to understand. And I don't pretend to know all of it, okay? And this kind of thing. But I'm talking about my own experience in this kind of thing. And if you want to, my own experience, if I can give you something to go on to know where my experience of truth as art as truth is, it's in Rilke, Rainier Maria Rilke's Letters to a Young Poet. Okay? So this is a poet writing letters to a young poet talking about poetics and being a poet and being a creative on the ways that we're talking about. This is beautiful. Maybe the most beautiful thing you will ever read.
Wow.
I mean, it's amazing. This is a new edition that just came out maybe a year and a half ago that has actually the letters of the young poet as well. But the original version, any version that you find of this, will have Rilke's letters to the young poet and without the letters from the poet to him. But this new edition has those letters as well. It's cool for some context. It's not necessary at all. But with that kind of primalcy of poetics being how I see, art comes up from within. It in no way stops another viewpoint, and being just open to others, being open that this experience is something that we're all having, allowance for that is almost just as valuable and just as much a part of this thing as anything else, right? That we just kind of are doing. This is us. This is humans living, and however functional or however high functioning or whatever it is, right? Whatever metric you want to put on it, but experience only is kind of the truth of the matter, right? Yeah. It's also against nature to stifle your own creativity.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about, Quentin. Quentin knows what's up, or not to honor it. Yeah, Letters to a Young Poet is great. It's unbelievably great. Unbelievably great. Yeah, remember letters when he was a teen, SF. He knows what's up. Totally great. For sure. Reread it. I mean, anytime. If you wanna create, then reread something like this. All right.
Wow.
So we're here at an hour and a half. Thank you so much, Leah, for going late with us tonight. Happy Friday, everybody. We've done extra. Yeah, Ryan, thank you for being here. Doing extra.
I'm robust anyway, so anything I do is extra. And Leah, I mean, such a pleasure. Always with Noah here, and then everybody in the community. Just, I mean, I think at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, y'all are the lifeblood of creativity. You feed us just as much as hopefully we're feeding your intensity.
Are we gonna?
He's in the stream. He's in the stream.
That's right. Hey, are we gonna get together for Wednesday? The writing experience on Wednesday.
Yes.
Let's do. Sure. Hey, let's triple team the Wednesday writing sprint.
Okay.
There's going to be 3 authors on screen actively writing. If you come by my live or the show on Wednesday at 7, from 7 till 8, maybe 8:15, 8:30, who knows? But 7 o'clock is when we'll start. You can't help but get in the mode. We're going to be pouring out the energy. We're going to be doing it. Okay.
Triple the inspiration.
Yeah.
And triple the encouragement.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good. Thank you, Leah. Stay warm.
Thank you.
Try to stay warm.
Yeah.
Yes. Ryan, goodbye, man.
Oh, no.
Happy Friday.
Thank you.
Catch you on the next one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.